brought up this water that Michael Irvin.
Oh, yeah, Michael Irvin's water, Alkaline 88, and that got us on the
Don't get him started about the water.
No, he's not getting it.
I'm not going to talk about it.
Brandon Lang is with us, BrandonLang.com, and he was sharing some very interesting stories. You've had an interesting life, man.
I really have. Being a kid from Michigan and the things I've experienced and the travels and the people I've met and the situations I found myself in, and then in those situations with boys in Vegas who are casino hosts and the stories they have, and finding myself up in those villas with the athletes I've been up there with and things I've seen and the escorts I know with my family in Vegas, and then with stories they tell me, Tiger Woods, on and on and on. And, you know, I don't want to be the kind of white guy that runs around knowing men's who's how big and who's this.
It comes with the territory.
It comes with territory. But I was talking about boys when boys will be boys, and it's about the arc and the run of the Dallas Cowboys and the Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. You had the 88 bottle of his water. I'm like going, remember when he walked out of that hotel in the fur coat with the 2 strippers and Coke and got busted, and he's still with his wife. He's still the playmaker. Everybody loves him. You know, everybody outside of the world's like going, wow, poor Michael Irvin. Every guy in America's like, yeah, Michael! You're the man, Mike! You're the man! You know, and so but that book talks about just the stuff that went on with that team.
That was Jeff Pearlman, by the way.
Jeff Pearlman.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's one of the greatest reads you'll ever get, because it really shows you the power of Jerry Jones and putting that dynasty together, and it breaks down that when Jimmy Johnson ran into Jerry Jones' office, says, listen, we're going to stink with Herschel Walker, and we're going to stink without him, so let's trade him when we got trade value. When they break down the trade of what they got for Herschel and how important those pieces were to the dynasty, you're like, wow, what a trade. And here's the funny thing about it. People don't remember that Troy Aikman went 1-15 his rookie year.
His only win was against
the
Redskins.
Right, they do. His only win against the Redskins.
Yeah.
How bad they were and how bad he was. And then there is a Hall of Famer. So when these young quarterbacks struggle and people get all crazy, just remember Aikman was 1-15.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Say, remember that, Carson Wentz haters out there? No,
Yep.
I'm just kidding. I don't want to equate anybody like that. Just the stories and the details of it, and you're a pretty good storyteller.
Thank you.
So that added to it as well.
Thank you.
I mean, you can't tell the story about Deion Sanders.
Was rolling on that back there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't tell the story of Deion the way in which you did by just saying, hey, guys, and just blurting out a story. You had to eloquently break down piece by piece. You set it up. You came back to it. It was perfect.
Well, I'll tell you, when you caddy, and when I went to L.A. with the idea to get a movie made about my life, I said, you know what, let me take a job at a golf course here in L.A. where producers, directors, and writers play golf.
Which one, Bel Air?
Riviera Country Club.
Okay.
And so I said, if I can get in there and caddy for someone in the entertainment business and have their ear for 4 hours, I said, because the first 6 holes, you just get them to like you. The next 6 holes, you get them to trust you.
Yeah.
Once they like you and trust you, those last 6 holes, you can say whatever you want. And I have a very good way of being able to extract money out of people's wallet for the tip caddy, and that other caddies can't. It's just your demeanor, your jokes, the things you do on the golf course. And so, having been around the golf course, you got to tell stories. I can't say it on air, but I have a joke that Ray Romano to this day said it's the greatest joke he's ever heard in his life. I'll tell you guys off air. It's
you
ridiculous.
can't leave without telling us.
I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that joke. But all a joke is storytelling. And I've retold jokes that people have heard, and they're like, dude, what you added to that joke was a masterpiece. and that just comes from drawing in your audience, and that book's unbelievable. But I've had a great life, and my drug is laughter. I should be a stand-up comedian. I don't have the time, but I enjoy making people laugh, and I feed off it. And the 2 jokes I'm going to tell you guys, you will remember them for the rest of your natural-born life. They're 1, 2 in my stack. You're going to get the best one I got, which you'll remember for the rest of your life, and then number 2 is the same thing. But it's fun to have lived a charmed life. And listen, when Matthew McConaughey plays you,
that's what I was just going to say. I mean, there's very few people, if anybody outside of you, that's a real person that can say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's
that whole process of going through. I'm sure you've been asked it a million times, but you brought it up who do you want to play you? Or did they say, we got an idea? Or
No.
You know what I mean?
When I first started, when I met Dan Gilroy, the screenwriter, my caddy for him, and the great thing about it, as soon as I got into Riviera, my first loop out of the box was Robbie Krieger, guitarist of The Doors.
The Doors, yeah.
Now, I'm not a big weed guy, never been a big weed guy, never going to be a big weed guy.
It's okay, we won't hold it
But when
against
I'm walking down the fairway and Robbie Krieger of The Doors breaks out a doobie and says, Brandon, it's Sunday afternoon, 2 o'clock, we're the only 2 guys on the golf course, single bag, just me and Robbie, I'm like, you know, and by the third hole, I'm like, all right, when do we get to that halfway shack? Because I'm hungry. I'm hungry. And so we're just talking about Jim Morrison and whatever. And I'll never forget, a pretty good golfer, too. And his dad was a longtime member of Riviera, Stu Krieger. And so I remember calling my mom on the way home and saying, Mom, this movie's going to happen. How can you be so sure? I'm like, if Robbie Krieger, guitarist of The Doors, is my first guy, I'm in the right place. 3 months later, caddy for Rene Russo's husband, Dan Gilroy. Most notably, when I met Dan, he was kind of a B writer. Free Jack is where he met Rene. Lately, he's an A-list director and writer. Got Denzel, Roman J. Esquire, got him nominated for Academy Award. So basically, I met Dan, pitched Dan, he loved it. Dan optioned it. Once we optioned it, we had 3 people in mind: Vince Vaughn, Matthew McConaughey, and Ben Affleck.
Vince Vaughn.
And you picked the right one.
You did.
Yeah, we did. And listen,
Ben Affleck.
He's too wooden.
You got to be careful when you sign your life rights away in Hollywood. They can portray you as a transsexual Satan worshiper, and there's not a whole hell of a lot you're going to be able to do after that. Dan did a great job of controlling the script. We spent a lot of time talking. He nailed it. And at the end of the day, to come out of that with Matt and Pacino and Rene Russo, Jeremy Piven, the only mistake they made is you can't release a gambling movie in October. No one's going to go to the movies who gambles on the weekends when there's college football, baseball playoffs. They're gambling.
Yeah.
If they hold the movie back 2 weeks before the Super Bowl when there's nothing, it probably would have done really well.
You know, where we live in Atlantic City, where
where you live?
Now where I live in Atlantic City, where our listeners are, the station, it's legal now.
Yep.
Does that help what you guys do, or not help what you guys do?
Because listen, BrandonLang.com, I got 11 handicappers on the site with me. If I'm cold, Al DeMarco's hot, Chris Jordan's hot. Chris Jordan's so hot in basketball right now, it's unbelievable the job he's doing. There's always somebody that and if people are going to bet on sports, if you don't have the time to handicap, you don't have time to pick games, and you're going to put your faith in someone, you want people that know what they're doing. I got a great stable of handicappers that do a great job, and people are going to gamble on sports now. It's legal. Where I see it going, Adam Silver wants it to where once he gets the kiosk in the NBA arenas, he wants to have a tablet as well for in-game betting while you're sitting there, getting a piece of that as well.
It's interesting because we're getting the arena team in Atlantic City now, and one of the reasons they think is because everything that's been in Atlantic City has failed. Every sports team that has come there has failed, and they think that the sports gambling, while you're at the game, now the kiosk right there, that you can do it.
Rent the tablet, credit card, whatever. Put $200 in your account, and now in-game betting, every play, whatever. Right. Imagine that.
Well, you're doing that in pubs in Scotland
right now.
England, right?
Yep.
I mean, the United States is so far behind.
We are.
Yeah.
We are, and it's sad because I've said for years, if gambling were legal when Two for the Money came out in 2005, it'd be a whole different ball game. But as long as we're getting it now, I said it's going to take about 3 to 4 years before it all gets ironed out. And then once it all gets ironed out, I believe the NFL. When the NFL see how much the NBA owners are making, they're going to go to Goodell and say, listen, enough.
You're right.
Get behind it. They're greedy SOBs anyway.
How far away are we from, instead of it being at a sports book, we're at something like this, and there's a huge TV up there where everybody is betting on who's winning the Democratic nomination, and everybody's betting on who's winning Big Brother, but it's all legal.
Sure.
How far away are we from that?
5 years.
That doesn't seem far at all.
But getting every state's going to get on board except Utah, and that's the Mormon influence.
Yeah.
But we're going to have every other state because of the taxable dollars and the money they're going to make off the taxable dollars. There was a $500 billion pie that was sitting over in Costa Rica that we never got a piece of. Finally, Adam Silver figures it out and gets behind it. Got the NHL commissioner to go with him. Right. Those two pushed it through, and we're at because I love Adam Silver, man. He gets it. He's young. Goodell's such a hypocrite. He just doesn't get it. He fights it. And I went on Stephen A. Smith's show years ago on ESPN. I said, if you couldn't gamble on sports, you wouldn't be building stadiums. You'd be building bleachers.
That's right.
And that's the honest to God truth. And Goodell fights that. Yep. Or he puts up the front that he fights it. Yeah. But behind closed doors, he knows. He's intelligent enough to know I can only fight this gambling thing so long before you listen. If you go into a strip bar, you can only fight not getting dragged into the champagne room by that dime piece so long before you're finally going to succumb to the dark side, and you're going to go in with Diamond and Alexis or Mercedes, and you're going to go to the dark side.
It's usually about 3 Def Leppard songs, and I'm in.
That's it.
Yeah, that's about
me
it.
too.
Pour some sugar on me, forget it.
Me too.
Well, and I noticed that you use that analogy in Atlanta, of all places.
Yeah,
so it's very fitting.
haven't been able to get there. But see, when you've lived in Vegas as long as I have,
it's probably nothing works. You're numb here.
Everybody wants to drag me into a strip bar in Atlanta, and I'm like going, I live in Vegas.
Yeah. Right.
I just and I know everybody in Vegas. When I go into Vegas, it's
Yeah.
Well, by the way, while we're talking about the Hard Rock in AC, just got gambling today, but today or yesterday. Finally, because they've had some problems with...
What, they have a sports book now? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the Hard Rock. They had problems because they have the naming rights of the Dolphins Stadium.
right.
Oh, that's right.
And the problem Golden Nugget is having is Tillman Fertitta owns the Nugget and he owns the Rockets, so you can't bet basketball there. No NBA at the Nugget.
How do you get around that?
They're working on it. They're trying to...
See, that's
tough.
That's interesting
But
to
Borgata,
me with Adam Silver
and how
the
is that?
NBA.
You can't bet, you can't go, to my knowledge, to William Hill at Ocean, to DraftKings at Resorts, to Borgata, who is also William Hill, I believe. Tropicana is also William Hill. You can't go in there and bet a Rutgers game because in the state.
Because it's in state, yeah.
But Fertitta owning the Rockets, no NBA. Not just Rocket games, no NBA.
See, I know. I knew the Maloofs when they owned the Palms. I spent a lot of time there. My boy John Moretti ran their health club, and John was my trainer for years. And I know no Sacramento Kings stuff could be done because they own the Sacramento Kings. I get that. But with Adam,
just the Kings,
just the Kings,
or all NBA,
just the Kings.
Okay,
that's what I. That's
in the Nugget AC, no NBA.
See, that's amazing because we could go in and bet any other thing. The Kings couldn't be on the board. And for a long time, local Nevada teams. You couldn't bet. Now you can bet.
You can bet UNLV
on the board.
now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, so that's weird to me that he's pushing through that, and there's still a restriction on there.
Yeah, that is strange.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more question just about the transfer of your life to the big screen?
Yep.
Was there something that you really wanted to tell
Matt?
Or just about your life?
Yeah.
That didn't make the move because Hollywood, and you have to cut something and things like that.
No.
Okay,
no,
so
and I'll
you
tell you why. I was thrilled to death because what I wanted people to see was the best thing Matt did in that movie, and the best scene in that movie is when he's in the bar with the cocktail, and you know what the game is, and you know what the point spread is, and the guy fumbles the punt, and what that did to the game, and you just saw that raw emotion come out of him. I live that every day of my life. And the movie being made about my life was both a blessing and a curse. The blessing was I got to put my mom on the red carpet in Hollywood. She got to enjoy that whole process.
Cool
she got to meet Al. She got to hang out with Matt, meet Matt's mom. My mom had a tough life. To give that to her, for her to hug me on the red carpet and say, you've made all my dreams come true, where does the son go from that? The curse is I'm now Brandon Lang. I pick games every day. I'm never going to be able to win enough to sustain the demand of people that want my pick because I am Brandon Lang. So I get crucified on the internet for every single losing streak. Nobody ever talks about the winning.
Nope.
The negativity of on the internet. There's no police officer out there writing a ticket for character assassination. People can sit behind a username and rip your family. Hope your daughter dies in a car accident.
Yeah.
Hopes your wife gets raped in prison
With
by
an
7
egg
black men.
profile.
This is the stuff they, just because you lost a play, and that's the frustrating part. But the thrill for me is to tout Clemson, to say Clemson's not only going to cover, but they're going to win by double digits. I don't think the game's going to be close when the whole world thinks, bam, to do that. To pick this game here where I've hit 4 in a row, and I'm 23 and 2. And to nail this game almost every year.
Including last year.
Including last year with the Eagles.
And we thank you for that.
And I mean, locked into the Eagles from day one. As soon as they beat Minnesota, I said, give me more than 3. We got ourselves a winner. But this is the frustrating part when dealing with the Patriots. All 8 Super Bowls have been one-possession games. 6 of their 8 Super Bowls have fallen on the 3 number. And as much as the Eagles dominated that game last year, as much as they were in control of the game last year, as much as they did everything right in the game, you blinked in the fourth quarter. The Patriots were up 1. The Eagles had 4th and 3 at the 42-yard line. And anybody who had the Eagles plus the point, their life flashed behind. They say, Peterson, punt, because Brady runs out the clock, you win. Then Peterson goes over and says, we're going to go for it. Now you're like, we don't get this. We're down 8. It's the Eagles in 2004 all over again needing a back door. That quick, you were sweating one play for all the marbles, a 4th and 3. And if Peterson doesn't get that, we're down 8 because Brady's going right down and scoring again. That's what's so hard about this team. is when you handicap a Patriots Super Bowl, the only Super Bowl they've had that you didn't sweat was the Giants plus 12.
Right.
It was never in doubt if you had that side. The other 7, regardless of the side you had, you're like this till the fourth quarter.
Which is what makes the Eagles Super Bowl win even more special because the Patriots win that game every time.
Yep.
They rip your heart out
hold on.
every time.
I'll tell you why, though. 99.9% of every NFL coach punts there now against Belichick. And Peterson showed you at the end of the first half when he went for it on fourth down, he showed you, I'm not backing down to you. I'm coming back after you. And that was the difference.
But you're right.
Yep.
And it really wasn't just that he did it against Belichick. He had been doing that
all year
since he became a head coach.
Year.
Some called out Marone in the book.
Right.
He said, I saw Marone
Doug
the week before, and I wasn't going to make the same mistake.
Yeah.
Well, how often, do you see that, Brandon, and we all see that, where you have a very successful head coach going up against Belichick, forgetting how to coach?
Yep.
Because they don't outthink Belichick, they outthink themselves.
Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Well, better team than the Patriots. Didn't win.
A great one.
Let me ask you about what you do specifically. How much time,
Pete Carroll,
do you put into handicapping a game? Is that something like on Monday you pick 2 to 3 games that you gather all this information on? That to me is something fascinating.
Right, so
the guys who do what you do, how much goes into that week to get your clients' information for Sunday?
All week.
Starts Monday?
Starts Monday. As soon as the line comes out, I make my line. And then I wait for the boys in Vegas. I'm usually a half to a point exactly where they are.
Yeah.
They very rarely are we ever off. If we're off, I put a check mark. I'm like, all right, one of us is missing this one. Where are we missing it? And in college more so, because college you get off lines in the MAC, Sun Belt, all these smaller conferences, you'll get off lines. They made some unbelievable mistakes in the MAC conference this year, and the Sun Belt conference for that matter. But all week long before I finalize it, college basketball, I watched the first 2 weeks because of all the changeover in players, and then I'll dive in. I love handicapping college basketball more than any other sport because I played basketball at a very high level, so I understand it. I'm a home dog guy only. You go ahead. I tell people to do this all the time. Every night in college basketball, look at all the final scores and just circle every home dog and see how many of them won outright. There's usually 4 a night. It's unbelievable. So I tell people, one of the principles of handicap, and I tell people, when you handicap a game, 90% of the people start with the favorite. They handicap the favorite. They never get to the underdog because they fall in love with the favorite. Well, the value of the number is not with the favorite. The value of the number is with the underdog. So when you handicap from now on, start with the dog. Make a case for the dog. See, with the Super Bowl, that's what I do. As soon as the game comes out, I handicap the dog. I'll stay on the dog all week, keep making a case for the dog. And then when Saturday or Sunday comes, I'm like, do I get to the favorite? Eagles, I never even thought about getting to the favorite because I knew they were the right side. Do that. Handicap the dog first.
Well,
work your way from the dog to the favorite. And I hope that's a hot chick.
I was going to say, is that Rihanna?
But that's
Beyonce?
You got cops, too.
Yeah, there's state police.
Someone's getting either escorted out of here or getting a police escort.
That's a lot of people around
and
someone.
It could be an important person, Brendan, so if you have to jet, we understand.
No, I'm not jetting
just the 3 of us here.
It's going to go to the – I'm just curious if it's a hot chick.
Yes.
There's so much talent running around here right now.
Oh, it's unreal.
Oh, my God. It's unbelievable.
That's by design, right?
There's a lot of
only
cops
Wednesday.
surrounding that person.
Wait till you see the Thursday, Friday crew.
Well, somebody's going to go on to the local Atlanta station.
They're going on to the game over there?
Yeah, the game is 92.9, and that's broadcast out of Atlanta, so they have a leg up on any hot individual here.
You're going to know who it is in a minute. But so start with the dog.
I'll
handicap the dog and work your way to the favorite, and you're going to win a lot more games than you lose because you'll start playing more underdogs. That's another tip. So just you can't, to answer your question, you can't handicap enough.
I asked that question because
there's not enough time.
It's overwhelming to think you're going to put all this time into every game on the slate. I mean, you pick out a handful that you like and really zone in on them, I would imagine. I don't know.
So I'll use a college football Saturday.
Yeah.
The Sunday night lines come out. I've already made all my lines. I go down and I'll look at the game and I'll go, ooh, I'll put a check by it. Go down, no value. Ooh, There'll be like 9 check marks that I'm like, that kind of hit me. Then I'll start diving into them. I'll go back and look at last week's box score, time of possession, turnovers. Why did their last week game? Who had the ball late? What happened in the game? Were there big plays? Were there special teams? I mean, you can't spend enough time. There's not enough time in the day to truly look at you go crazy. So you watch as much as you can, you read as much as you can, but it's a very unforgiving business. Because even though I hit Clemson on Monday night, I got to wake up Tuesday morning. The joy was over. I got to pick a college basketball game on Tuesday
You're like
night.
Saban.
You
can't enjoy the win.
You can't, and that's why the movie was both a blessing.
Can I ask real quick?
Yeah.
I imagine what separates you from 99% of the people that are trying to be like you is not the criteria and the time of possession, the things you do, step 2. It's step 1. It's your ability. I can steal your joke and tell it for the next 3 years, but if I can't tell the story like you, it falls on deaf ears or it just looked like a bad storyteller. What is it that, when you explained what you do, the thing that jumped out to me the most was the check marks. Because your intuition on what you're checking is different than 95 to 99% of the people out there.
That's a great question.
Things jump out to him that
right.
don't others.
It's experience. Yeah. It's knowing and understanding and watching how Vegas manipulates the point spread over 28 years. It's understanding what Vegas is trying to get you to do with the line.
Who's overvalued?
It's basically asking yourself the question, Vegas is wrong here, but I see what they're doing. I'm going to stay away from that. Oh, here's some value. Vegas has got to make this number because they know the public's going to do this with this. The dog's the play here. You just see so much over the years that you know what a true line is and a trap line is. Stay away from the trap line. You know what a sharp money move is and a public line move is. And it's experience. It just knows that Vegas has tricked me enough, and they still do.
They get everybody, right?
Those casinos are so I do get messed up and tripped up, man. This is a hard, unforgiving business because, like I said, you can't win enough to sustain the demand.
Well, you win a lot on this day.
Yes.
Super Sunday, 23-2, number 1 winning streak, BrandonLang.com. You have a feel. Are you there yet, or do you have a feel?
I'll just say this. It's always a one-possession game. It always comes down to the end. You're going to be sweating it either way.
Which was way different from like the 90s.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Blowouts. And so I just feel like this. Vegas made a mistake opening up the game, Rams -1. Should have been Patriots -2.5, 3. Immediately. Then you wouldn't have had this huge 80% Patriot money right now, 20% Ram money. You wouldn't have that disparity because now the boys here in Vegas are saying, okay, only way we're going to get Ram money is if we move this line up to 3. They know it. They know it right now. So now if they
the fact though, like the Eagles, an East Coast money against a team out west where maybe the fans aren't as fanatical. Like the book knows the Eagle guys, they're going to bet on the Eagles. Like they'll
bet on anything. Philadelphia will bet on anything in Philadelphia.
That's why it closed at 4.5.
Right.
This
game like that with Patriots, Rams.
Yeah. So now what happens is this: if they move it to 3. The Sharps are going to buy to 3.5. And they got the 4-point middle. And now you're sitting there, and Vegas is going, do we really want to sit there and roll the dice that this will be the 7th Super Bowl out of 9 that falls on 3 with this team, and we're going to get banged on both sides, and we're going to have about a $120 million hit here? Or do we just let it ride out the way it is, take our little $20 million hit, and keep it at 2.5? My gut tells me it ain't moving. It's going to stay at 2.5, and they're basically going to say, we would rather take the $15 million hit than to go ahead and roll the dice and take the $120 million hit. I don't think at this point they can move it. I don't. Michael Gaughan, John Gaughan's a good friend of mine, and his dad, Michael Gaughan, owns the South Point. It's a great property. It's up away from the Strip. It's as you're heading out of town, it's a great property. He took one of the best restaurants in town, which was the barbecue. It's called Michael's, moved it to South Point.
That's where Brent hangs.
Tuesday of last week, he moved the line to 3.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Okay, he moved. He was the only casino in town. Moved it to 3 because he said he wanted to see how many people would run over and bet it. He got about 43 people came to the door and jumped on it. He got about, I think he said he got about $75,000 of money in. But what he said was it got 40 people into his casino that probably went to the bar. A few probably played his machines. He said it was great. And at the end of the day, he moved it back down to 2.5, and he said that was fun.
Yeah.
What a business move.
Listen, sometimes he'll walk in and go, all drinks are $2 today. whole casino, and people will come. And word will get out. The drinks are $2 at South Point. He does that all the time for the locals. He's a great. His father, Jackie Gone, basically built downtown. Gone family's great in town, but he was the only casino to move it to.
I was watching that.
Really
I was watching the Marcus Lemonis special on the Prophet. He went down to Vegas and about how they do stuff there. I think he stopped there to show how this casino does all these bizarre things to get people to go down. You see,
prop bets.
It's got a bowling alley, a movie theater. We live in Southern Highlands, which is literally 7 minutes from it. My daughter and I will go see a movie right there. As you walk out of the movie theater, there's the bowling alley. My daughter and I will bowl. We'll go down. We'll leave. It's a great property.
Well, they're making a lot of money in AC now. We were talking about before with March Summers. The AC's coming back.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
These books are doing pretty good.
Yep.
Did you bet or attend or both the match out in Las Vegas a few months ago with
had
Phil and Tiger?
Had tickets to go.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Tiger fan.
Yeah.
I got some pretty bad stories about just what a bad person he is, and he really is.
Now, are those radio shareable or?
Yeah. He used to stay at the mansion at the MGM, and he was with Jordan and Barkley. They were playing blackjack upstairs. Tiger went on a $1.7 million run in 45 minutes in blackjack. Got up from the table and said, "Take a little break. I'll be back here in a little bit." And you got it. And the two Asian dealers, because my wife's Filipino and she knew one of them, the two Asian dealers, he got up and he's on a $1.7 million run and gave each of the Asian dealer a $100 chip. Said, "There you go."
Well, he's
walked
cheap.
out.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
I mean, there's
about
no,
that.
and I'm a big tip guy.
Yeah.
I just am. I've worked in the service industry. I've caddied. I know what an extra 5 means. My wife gets mad at me because I over-tip, but I tell my wife all the time, if you're going to the same restaurant all the time,
that's right,
and you over-tip, watch how they treat us every time we come in here.
Right.
You're treated a little bit differently than everybody else. He just never gets it. The steakhouse in Akron that he got banned from, the check came. He signed. He didn't tip. He signed the back of the check, and then the waitress walked over and said he didn't tip me. The waitress went to the manager. The owner went there and said, "Hey, did my server do something wrong?" Tiger said, "No. Why didn't you tip her?" He said, "I did." And he flipped it over. Said, "See that autograph? You know how much that autographs?" I mean, that's just he's just such a.
Because he's always in there winning the Firestone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he was banned. And then I think he made right, and he tips when he goes in that steak place. But he's just he's a bad dude.
Yeah, the fact that you have to be told that, as opposed to just
think
having
about this.
it inside you.
When
didn't Charles Barkley tell Tiger? Like, wasn't that what the story?
Barkley did.
Barkley said to him,
Barkley said,
"Hey,
you got a tip." Jordan said, "You don't." He goes toward Jordan. But when he got popped in Jupiter, crashed his car, popped all the tires, they found in his system weed, Vicodin, Ambien, and one other drug.
It's a hell of a cocktail.
It's a hell of a cocktail. Hell of a cocktail. So that's one. The story I'll leave you with was caddying for Jack Nicholson and Dennis Hopper at Riviera. Armando told me he couldn't caddy for Hopper, who was his regular, so I got Hopper. Armando said in the caddy shack at Riviera is the lower first fairway. You walk up the hill, there's the tee box. So I get up there, I meet him, I go down the first fairway, and Armando said, "Listen, when he gets down to the first fairway just outside the caddy shack, he's going to break out a joint about the size of California. He's going to hit it. He's going to ask you to hit it. You got to hit it. You got to get high with him, because if you don't, you're not going to get tipped." I go, "I can't get high when I caddy. I can't read the greens." He goes, "They don't care. You better smoke weed, or you're not going to get tipped." So sure enough, there's like 20 caddies hanging outside the caddy shack. Dennis pulls down. I'm in my white jumpsuit. I got their putters in my hand, and I'm right behind the cart. And Hopper breaks out a satchel, and the shining Jack Nicholson, the Joker. He's over in the trees looking for his ball, and Hopper breaks out this monster joint. And he goes, and he hands it to me. And there's 25 caddies because they know I don't smoke weed. And I go, "Dennis, I can't read the greens." He goes, "You want to get tipped?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Then you better hit this." So I look around, I grab it, and all the caddies start cheering, and I hit it. Well, guess what? By the first green, I'm gone. It ain't that Tijuana burner weed you get. This is that A-list celebrity weed that you get.
Right.
So now I'm on the first green over the green. I got a hawk that's eyeing a squirrel like from about 10 feet away. They're on the green waiting for me to come over and read the putt and grab the flag. And I'm like this. So Hopper and Nicholson start arguing because he goes, "You did it again. You get the caddy stoned by the first hole, and then they're worthless to us. This is terrible." And so I'm gone, by the way. All of a sudden I hear something, "Brandon." I turn. They go, "Get over here." And I go, wait, man, you guys got to come over here and see this hawk and this squirrel, man. This is that nature stuff going on.
We got National Geographic
right, so
over
now,
here, man.
I turn around, I go back to the green, I read the putts, I get through that. Second fairway. I'm getting ready to run up to the green. Hopper goes, hey, you better hit this. Every fairway of every hole, I hit it. I'm getting high retelling the story right now. That's how much weed I smoked.
Should have been in my Uber today.
By the
Holy
fourth
mackerel.
hole, I'm so gone, and Jack comes up, and he's got about an 8-footer for par in the par 3. I'm so gone. And he goes, all right, I got to make this. I got to make this par. And he goes, you want the truth? And I go, yeah. I go, you want the truth? He goes, yeah. I go, you can't handle the truth. And he loses it.
Are you serious?
And he looks at me with those Joker eyes, and he goes, I like that. I like that. What's this puck going to do? And the whole round, by the back 9, I was driving the cart. I was making them walk because I was so high. And I'm pulling in the cart. I'm giving them the yardage. And I'm smoking the joint and go, Dennis, you better hit that. I was high when I went home till 4 o'clock in the morning. I never came down. I don't know how I drove my car to get home down the Santa Monica Freeway. Oh, my God. And I ran into Jack.
I'm sure he tipped
the
you.
tip.
Yeah, Jack's real good. Dennis is real good.
Right.
They took really good care of me. So the Mark Wahlberg, Johnny Drama story, caddying for them, they were big stoners then. They got me really, really high. Mark told me because the 4th hole, the par 3, borders the halfway shack where you get food. Mark just took out a $100 bill because we were baked. He says, listen, 12-pack of beer, get us some snacks. Go. We'll see you on the 5. They took their wedges and their putters, and they go, we'll see you on the 5 tee box. So I'm stoned. I drive by the halfway shack. I'm getting 3 ice cream bars, Snickers. You would think it was I robbed a convenience store. And I pulled the 5. We're eating, snacking. Yeah, man. It's just the run at Riv was great.
That's
and then
awesome.
President Clinton caddying for him when he was president.
It's amazing.
That was that real quick because I know you got to go.
That's
cool.
That
that when I was caddying for Clinton when he was president, all the Secret Service people out there, on the first green when I got down right next to him to read his putt, I got down right over his shoulder, and the red sniper dot was on my heart.
Get out of here.
Every time I got right next to him, he was somewhere, it was on me.
No
Every
kidding.
time I was away from him, I wasn't. It was just to protect the president.
Wow.
You don't know.
Dude.
You don't know if a caddy's going to snap. You don't know that. This is the President of the United States.
Sure.
Every time I got close to him. And on the first green, got as my witness, I got down and I said, he goes, all right, Brandon, what's this putt going to do? I said, Mr. President, can we somehow, if I misread this, just tell my mom I love her. It's inside right firm. Just can you tell my mom I love her? And just make sure he hits the bullseye. Clinton looks at me and goes, I can't do anything about that. I said, I know, Mr. President. I know, Mr.
Now, was he stoned?
No. But you know what? He'll never be William Jefferson Clinton to me. He'll be 3-ball Billy because that son of a gun hits 3 balls every single hole.
Is that right?
And whatever one goes in the fairway, that's the one he's going to play. And you got to go run and get the other 2 and get in the fairway. Then if he pulls 2 left, way left, and hits 1 on the green, you got to go get those. I ran a marathon that day.
No kidding.
Now, is that a president? Is that something that you think he did after he got in the office, or is that an act or habitual action that was enabled growing up?
He played his own scramble.
Okay.
He cheats, and I've always said this about people, and this is the truth. If you cheat in golf, you cheat in life. You just do. If you cheat in golf, you cheat in life. Bill Clinton, as our president, cheated on Monica. Cheated on Hillary. He cheated his whole life. He just wants to cheat, always cheat. So
it's true.
This was awesome.
BrandonLang.com.
We got 2 jokes you got to leave us with off the air.
Absolutely.
Don't think we forgot about that.
No.
You need to write another movie.
That was an hour
about
ago.
Your caddy.
Well, I had people tell me how I got the movie made, and that run is better than the actual movie itself.
Was there anybody at the club that you thought – I'm sorry, they'll tell you I can't shut up.
He cannot shut up.
Was there anybody at the club that you were so juiced or jacked up to caddy for, and it turned out to be the most miserable experience of your life, caddying?
A total dud.
It's a good question, though.
It is.
Because you think these stories, like you got Hopper
Well, everybody's
and Wahlberg,
built up with all
right,
the- yeah,
right. So
yeah.
maybe you had fill in the blank, and you're thinking, you're telling your buddy, I get to caddy for this guy today, and next thing you know, it's a nightmare.
No.
That's not a problem. That's not a good. That's not a bad.
I'll tell you why. I was one of the top caddies there. I caddied for Ted Treba, the 1999 Nissan Open, which now is the Genesis, which Tiger's part of.
It's coming up
They
in 2
play
weeks.
Riv in 2 weeks. I caddied for my boy Ted Treba there in 1999. Had his bag in the tournament. He shot the course record 61 with me on his bag, which still stands to this day. 2-shot lead going into Sunday pair with Davis Love and Tiger Woods. So after that, I was royalty. So Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, was my regular there my last year there. Caddied for him 5 times, paid me $1,000 every time. He had a little bank satchel, had about $100,000 in it.
How old were you at that time?
37.
Was this in conjunction with everything else going on in your life?
Yeah.
This is amazing.
I wasn't
unbelievable.
I wasn't handicapping at the time.
Oh, okay.
I was just waiting for Dan to write the script, and I'm living in Manhattan Beach. I'm working at Riv. I'm just not a care in the world, not picking games. I didn't even watch games. I didn't even look at games. I didn't even follow sports.
So you did that, then got out of it, and now got back into it.
Which I never, I should have went into the reality TV realm. I didn't hire a powerful agent when the movie first came out, so I missed my window of opportunity and had to come back to work in this business.
Riviera, a fabulous George Thomas design.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Listen, all my dreams at Riv happened at Riv. Got the movie made there. My boy shoots the course record 61, which still stands to this day. I was on CBS TV all weekend long. And so after that, I got all the really great loops, all the cool loops.
Awesome.
Stallone, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, Tom Cruise, the Quaid brothers.
Michael Jordan was a bad tipper.
Well, that's the fallacy behind Michael. If Michael wins, you get taken care of. If Michael loses, you get stiffed.
Yeah.
That's the truth about Michael Jordan. So,
and that was in the Tiger Woods book that he chose Jordan over Barkley,
as his,
to be like
mentor.
But if I caddied for Jordan once, he won. I got paid pretty good. I got paid up to $750.
You weren't stoned.
No, wasn't stoned.
Did he talk to you a lot?
Professional.
Yeah, right.
What's the read? It's a pretty intense. Look.
That's what I've heard.
Your read's got to be on.
Was he drinking tequila?
No,
I heard
smoking cigars. But he wasn't.
Smoked cigar, yeah.
If your reads are on, he loves you. And if your reads are good, and my reads at Riviera were, again, a guy shoots a 61.
Sure, you know the hell you're doing.
Got to be good. So, but I was offered the loop again, and I said no.
This has been quite a.
I said no. I said I don't want the loop.
This
it was too intense. Too intense.
How long has this been?
I don't know.
This has been
awesome. I
awesome.
think you have a read.
Yeah. No, this is great.
Derailed 10 times.
He has to go. I know he has to go, so we should get out. But my goodness, it's like 40 minutes we've been talking. It's flown by.
Brandon Lang, everybody.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much.
Guys.